bro. Is the video ready?
So this shot was one of my favorite visual effect shots when the movie came out. So to start off, we will recreate a fairly easy effect from the movie Wanted, the keyboard smash effect in the face. Alright, my name is Ignace, Aleya, and welcome to the rebranding of our new videos, VFX Explained. A show where I reveal the mysteries behind your favorite Hollywood effects. Well, in this case, it's one of my favorite effects, but I plan on doing more of these videos, so definitely let me know below what you think of this type of videos. I've always been amazed by the scene in the famous movie Wanted, and that's why I have decided to recreate this effect in today's video. Also, if you found yourself watching one of my videos before and you enjoyed it, well, why don't you subscribe and like this video so you can see more of this as we're on a quest to beat the YouTube algorithm. So, welcome to the VFX family. Now, let's take a look at the famous keyboard scene in the movie Wanted. In this movie, we see an angry character, Wesley Gibson, getting extremely frustrated at work. Next, he does something that some of us might have wanted to do in the past but never really did, taking his keyboard and smashing it in Barry's face. So we're going to analyze the scene, but how were they able to create the scene? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Before we uncover that, let me tell you a story of how I woke up this morning. Do you know that feeling when you wake up, your eyes, they're still heavy, and you're struggling to make your first coffee of the day, and then you look outside of the window and you see it has snowed. Best feeling ever. And you know what? My morning actually just got even better with Morning Brew, today's video sponsor. Morning Brew is a free daily newsletter, Monday to Saturdays, that doesn't waste your time. Traditional news is pretty boring and I can't keep up with everything that's going on, but I would like to have the information. With Morning Brew, 5 minutes in the morning and I'm up to speed with what's going on in the world. I learned, for example, that Netflix dropped the slate for 71 movies in 2021 alone. That's like more than one movie every single week. Also, all the CES updates for all the tech was super useful for me to follow. So conclusion, there is no reason not to subscribe to Morning Brew. And it's as easy as just filling in your email address. So I have a link for you in the description below that takes you to their page, and it only takes like 15 seconds to set up. So why wouldn't you? It's always good to know what's going on in the world. Alright, let's jump into the real stuff now. Let's first analyze how they achieved this effect in the movie. No behind the scenes for this exact effect, but now let's see how you can recreate this effect yourself. So first of all we had to do is record our footage. I invited my good friend Levito and we recorded this little sketch. What better way to promote his beats through a smash in the face, am I right? Definitely go and send him some love on his channel. I'll link his channel down below. So how do we create a shot like this? Well, first of all, we need to film this in super slow motion. So thanks to my Panasonic GH5S, I could shoot up to 240 FPS in Full HD. Unfortunately, we didn't have a cameraman due to the restrictions nowadays, and it could have been a tad sharper, I do admit that, but it looks alright. Another thing you should pay attention to is your lens focal length. You'll need a lens that can zoom quite a bit, 50mm or higher. That gives the impression of everything standing closer together when you're standing in front of each other. All you have to do is back up with your camera, stand further away and zoom in with your lens. Unfortunately, here again, we didn't have that much space behind us, so I couldn't record with an even closer lens.
Next, you need to smash your friend in the face.
But be careful though, we don't want to make any injuries in this video. I was actually more than 30 centimeters away from the actor, Levito in this case, just to be sure definitely not to hit him in the face. We just want to give the impression of hitting someone in the face. I also did some Shinkendo training in the past, which basically teaches you how to use a samurai katana. So yeah, I could get a little bit closer as I had a little bit of experience in the past of putting things close to someone's head, you know. Anyway, stay at a safe distance, it's really important. So once we have our shot, I imported that in Premiere Pro. Alright, so when I imported my video, all I do first is go to Modify, Interpret Footage, and set my frame rate to 24 as it's set to 60. It's actually not really 60, I recorded in 240 FPS, but it converted it to 60 FPS, which then means that it's going to play it already in slow motion at 60 FPS. So I'm just going to assume this frame rate, and now when I import this into a new sequence, you can see that I have ultra slow motion right here. So it's pretty fast, but basically if we're going to calculate, 240 or 24 is 10 times slower. So all I have to do is speed it up 1000 times. That should give me the real timing, and that gives me this shot. All I want to do here is right click, go to time remapping and speed, and create a keyframe right here, and then just bring it all the way slower to like 10% of that speed. And then we're also going to give it a little bit of a ramp here, and give this a little bit of a smoothing curve. And then you have like from speed to slow motion. And what you can also do is go into the speed and duration and choose optical flow. That's going to give it an even smoother way to play back. And that's looking fantastic. So boom. Now let's hop into Cinema 4D and After Effects to recreate this exact effect. I exported the part where I want the keyboard breaking apart, and I exported that as an image sequence. This I can import in Cinema 4D, so I have a reference of how my video will look, so I can create the 3D on top of that. So now we need a 3D keyboard model. We could model one ourselves, or you could simply go to turbosquid.com and grab yourself a pre-made model, which has been done by a professional. You know it's gonna be good, and it also comes with textures, so you don't have to worry about all that stuff. So I brought that in Cinema 4D and I retextured it using the Octane render engine, using the textures of that guy, you know, but just retexturing it for the render engine. Does that make sense? I just needed a chunk out of it, so I drew a path and extruded that. I used it with a boolean just to get that part of my keyboard and to make it look all jagged. And I also thickened the keyboard a little bit, so when we have it on an angle, we can actually see there is some thickness to it, so it looks realistic, I think. And then I went to search for the relevant keys on that keyboard, and I copied them and I pasted them. I also remodeled a little part of the keys just to give them a little bit more detail. Just look at a real key and try to remodel that a little bit. And I pasted that on each key that I needed to use close up on the camera. You can also just use one letter once. So for the name Levido, that worked out well, but I couldn't go for Levido Beats because that has multiple letters multiple times. So I selected Levido, and then I also made a group with all the other keys so I can use them later on just to give a little bit more detail to my scene. So I dragged these into a particle emitter and I burst out a few particles and then applied some gravity to it. I also reconstructed the walls of my scene and made these a collider body. So then I used these extra keys in the emitter as particles, and I added a dynamic tag on those particles to interact with the walls. I also played with the dynamic timing in Cinema 4D to give that nice time remapping effect, you know. It's always smooth if you can like... It's pretty amazing. But then I had to do the hardest part, getting each separate key to spell out the name Levido, and that meant hand animating all of these keys individually to burst out, to get them in the position that you want, to get that slow motion stop in a correct fashion, and to keep the flow going of the entire animation. Always been scared of this part actually. Never really enjoyed animating because I didn't feel like I was capable of doing that, you know. So as you can see, I also imported the texture of my keys in Photoshop, and I also added some blood splatters. I also changed the colors to be white instead of the red and orange because that would look like it has lights, and it's definitely not plugged in, so it couldn't have lights. Think logically. So I basically changed the colors to better match my original keyboard. Tried to make it look like the actual thing. So yeah, once I had this down, I wanted it to also have motion blur and depth of field to give that extra realism. Using the Octane camera, it actually has some really easy settings to get a realistic camera result. Because what we're basically trying to do is make it seem like we actually recorded these keys on set with our camera in slow motion. So if it has noise, we want to add in noise. If it has distortion, you want to add in distortion. If it doesn't look sharp, it shouldn't look sharp. So it has to look worse in order to look better. After this, I exported each element separately through the Octane render engine and brought all these files in Adobe After Effects. Here, bring in your original shot, and now it's time to do some rotoscoping.
No! No! No!
So we're rotoscoping myself using the RotoBrush 2.0 tool. A super efficient tool to do rotoscoping, and it's lightning fast. I just needed to do the head part, but actually because it's so quick, I enjoyed it for the first time in my life, and I just rotoscoped the entire body because it literally took not more than 2 minutes. It's crazy. So here I'm using my mask to hide the parts behind my face before they actually fly towards me, so it looks like they're actually having a 3D perspective. And I also did some final compositing on all of the elements and added an adjustment layer on the top of everything to add these graphitizing effects, like I had some noise, chromatic aberration, curves a little bit to adjust the colors, and then
our own blood splatter pack available at creatorgalaxy.com.
And then I brought all of that in Premiere Pro, do some color grading, do some sound design, and voila, we have an entire sketch. That seems about right. Let's render. 5 minutes. Huh? Half an hour? 4 hours? 10 hours?
Hey bro, is the video ready?
So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to give it a like and also subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed watching this video. And also make sure to watch another video of mine. Have you seen the video where I actually stopped a fighter jet with my bare hands? Well, actually with magical powers. True story, I have magical powers. Don't believe me? Check out the video on the screen if you're curious to see how I did it. Alright, bye bye now. That's it for now. Create epic videos.